Welcome on in. Wednesday, February 17th, Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, right? I made it Wednesday.
Hey, can I make you jealous for just a second?
Sure.
Listen to the depth of this voice.
If you don't get Mandis in the morning, go back to bed. Weekdays 5 to 9 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Is that awesome or what?
Well, thank you, Joan, for making my voice sound even higher than it is.
Yes.
Who is that?
His name is Tiny.
Is that Tiny?
Yeah.
Oh, friend of the show.
Yeah.
He's an FOS. He's a friend of the show, friend of the station. Love Tiny.
I thought that was like amazing.
Do you know, somebody else, just real quickly, remember Pamela first sent me some jingles that she wrote or she made with AI? Mm-hmm. Another guy, I got him over the weekend, sent me some jingles that he made with AI for Mandis in the morning. I've got to find a time to play them. Maybe I'll play it today, 8:35. They were really good, too. You can do amazing things with AI.
Yes, you can.
Holy mackerel. Mm-hmm. So all very good and very much appreciated. Some people over the past year have been using AI to make jingles for me, and I very much appreciate it. I actually feel guilty that I can't use them, but they're very cool, and I'm humbled and very appreciative that people do that. All right, so the ICE facility in Lebanon, Joan.
Yes. So
there is a lot of confusion about this. I just got off the phone with State Senator Mark Pody because I guess Channel 4, somebody said on the super text line, Channel 4 said that they confused Lebanon, as I reported, you and I talked about this earlier, a couple of times actually, that they confused Lebanon, Tennessee with Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and that the actual ICE facility is not coming here. And I called Mark Pody, honestly, to cancel the interview because if that's what happened, then there's no reason to have the interview. Well, he says not so fast.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to Mark Pody coming up at 7:35, State Senator Mark Pody, about what he has learned just this morning about this confusion as to whether or not there's going to be an ICE facility in Lebanon, Tennessee. And, I mean, nobody seems to know anything, but he's maybe throwing some cold water on the whole, well, they may have confused us with Pennsylvania. So, yeah, really interesting.
The plot thickens. Maybe we can get Tiny to
that
plot thickens.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Very good. Thank you, Joan. So the SAVE Act, it does continue its slow grind through the House, and of course it passed the House. Now it's off to the Senate. And it looks like in the Senate, they're not really close to the votes. I mean, they're just not. They're going to have to do something about the filibuster. But, you know, I liked what, because you remember Susan Collins of Maine and the rest of the Republicans and John Thune, he supports it as well. So they're getting closer. But I like what Kevin O'Leary, you know, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Why do they call him Mr. Wonderful, by the way?
No, I don't know. I
mean, I like what he says, and some of the things that he says I deem as wonderful. But this is what he said. He was on, I believe it was on CNN, where he talks about this debate over whether or not we actually need to have voter ID or proof of citizenship. This is Kevin O'Leary.
Every 24 months, we go through this debate over and over again. When every country in the Nordic countries in Europe, France, Switzerland, Canada, Australia, solved this problem decades ago. A, you got to be a citizen to vote. You got to prove it. We all agree at the table on that one. Number two, there's such advancement in technology to make sure there's no cheating. We should implement it here and get all this crapola over with. It's getting almost boring every 24 months. Oh, the election's rigged. Oh, this guy's doing this. This guy's doing that.
Yep.
No other country has this narrative.
Nobody.
This narrative.
So of course, when he finishes that, all the screaming begins. That was on the Abby Phillips show. So he brings up all of these other countries. Now, not that we want to be Europe in any way, shape, or form, but just in case you're curious, and remember, you have many different countries in Europe, and so, you know, that's collectively they're called the EU. But some countries have an independent election commission free from politics, so they simply, all they do, They oversee elections. Here we have state legislatures that are either Democrat or Republican, clearly not free from politics. So that is one of the big differences as we talk about Kevin O'Leary. And he was saying the difference between America and Europe. In Europe, they do require proof of identity. They've got national ID cards, universal ID systems, and so forth. So it makes proving that you are a citizen easier, and that's important. As far as voter rolls go, that is done at the federal level in Europe. And so for me, you listen to how Europe does it. I mean, cleaning up can you just imagine, all that people want to do, conservatives want to do in some of these Democrat-run states is clean up the voter rolls. And even that, can we get all these dead people off the voter rolls? Oh, no, we can't do that because they might be voting for the Democrats in the next 2 or 4 years. Then, of course, you have California.
And if we don't have voter integrity, what even are we? And there's one state that is the breeding ground for potential voting fraud, and that is California, where it can take up to 1 month to count all of the votes, no voter ID, and millions of ballots are cast by mail. I
mean, that, of course, is our buddy Nick Shirley, who has spent now some considerable time in California where, yes, the sunshine is abundant, and so is the fraud.
A Southern California woman is facing 5 felonies after registering her dog to vote in 2 elections. The dog's vote was even counted in one of those elections. Those behind the stunt say she did it to show the flaws of the current system.
Hundreds of people who cast votes according to state records, but we found they've been dead for years. Including a woman who died in 1988, and records show she somehow voted in 2014, 26 years after she passed away. Then there's Julita Abutin. Records show she voted in Norwalk in 2014, 2012, 2010, and 2008. The only problem is she's buried here at Forest Lawn. Abutin died in 2006.
He's like literally standing at her grave, asking the question, how did this woman continue to vote if she's been dead for years? And that was local reporting. They found a ton of issues, of course. When you go to California and you look for, voting fraud and such, it's like fishing in a stocked pond. He found, for example, 30 registrations at one UPS store. They also had active registrations for a ton of people over the age of 120. California Globe reporting that there were 260,000 dead registrants and thousands of non-citizens on the U.S. voter rolls. Lawsuits, of course, have been filed. And the Democrat Party has, of course, clearly, in my opinion, cheating. Now, Chuck Schumer, this was what he said way back in 1996. Listen to this.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud.
I mean, listen. He was pretty red-pilled and based 30 years ago. That is Chuck Schumer. Oh, what 30 years a difference will make. I just played you audio of Chuck Schumer, 1996. Now, here we are in 2026, and Chuck Schumer, 1996, complaining about fraud, complaining about all of the different ways in which people can fraudulently vote, etc. Well, this was Chuck Schumer yesterday.
What they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0. They make it so hard to get any kind of voter ID that more than 20 million legitimate people, mainly poorer people and people of color, will not be able to vote under this law. We will not let it pass in the Senate. We are fighting it tooth and nail. It's an outrageous proposal that is, that shows the sort of political bias of the MAGA right. They don't want poor people to vote. They don't want people of color to vote because they often don't vote for them.
About 83%.
And there you go. So that is Chuck Schumer. The bottom line is Kevin O'Leary is right. Every 2 years, We do go through this. If it's a midterm election or if it's a presidential election, every 2 years we go through this. And I'm just going to be honest with you, friends, it does get boring. Everybody knows there is voter fraud. Everyone knows the Democrats like to keep dead people on the voter rolls. Everyone knows that. Republicans know it. Democrats know it. Independents know it. Everyone knows it. So now the question is, why can't we just, pass the Save America Act in the Senate? Well, we've all been talking about this, of course. It is because we don't have a solid enough majority in the Senate. The whole question, of course, is about nuking the filibuster. That does continue to be asked. This is Bill Hagerty. This is Bill Hagerty.
I think the American public is with us on this one. We're looking at the talking filibuster. It's something that has not been used in a long, long time. It's a complicated process, but I think we're going to look at every way we possibly can to get this to the floor, to defeat the Democrats' obstructionism, and do something that makes common sense for America. And now that we have Susan on board, I think we're going to be laser focused on this and any other method that we can utilize to get this onto the floor, because this is obviously something the American people want.
Yep. I mean, that is certainly true. So that is, again, Senator Bill Hagerty, meaning don't nuke the filibuster, just force them to actually stand for hours at a time and talk. The way that the filibuster was meant to be, not just, hey, we're going to filibuster and then everybody goes home. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is calling out leadership on the Senate side. I thought this was interesting. She is blasting the Senate from her vantage point in the House of Representatives. I can imagine, the Senate is considered like the upper crust in government. So I can imagine that, they're hearing what Anna Paulina Luna is saying about the Senate, and they're gods, what is she saying?
This is really 100% on Leader Thune. I know for a fact the American people have told their senators what they want, both the Democrats and Republicans. I think the number for Democrats is over 71%. Even Fetterman came out in support of this, which we know that Fetterman might not align with us all the time, but on this issue, he's pretty good, and here's what his own people want. And so, again, this is something that the Senate is going to have to act on. But look, I'm not going to hold my breath. If I did, I'd probably pass out before the Senate decided to actually do something.
Can I just say, because, Joan, you know how it works in Washington, D.C. The House of Representatives is, a lot of people will consider that sort of the lower chamber, if you will, and the Senate is like the higher chamber. And she's talking smack. She's talking tough.
Yep.
So now all eyes are on John Thune. Right now, the Save America Act is stuck in committee in the Senate. He's got to get it out of the committee and onto the floor for a vote. I forget which committee it's stuck in, but it's the committee that Mitch McConnell, of all people, Mitch McConnell is in charge of. The Democrats will filibuster. Then the Republicans have to decide if they want to break that filibuster. But
is McConnell still is he still in the hospital?
Was he in the hospital?
Yes.
When did that happen? I mean, he's been in and out of the hospital,
yes.
So I haven't really been necessarily paying attention to his whereabouts. I don't even know if Mitch McConnell is paying attention to his whereabouts. But where is the
okay?
What was he in the hospital for?
Was discharged Tuesday, February 10th, so a week ago today.
All right.
He spent a week in the hospital treating flu-like symptoms. But that's why he hasn't been around to do his job.
You know what? I mean, I would say to John Thune, okay, you've got a guy who Mitch McConnell is in his 80s. I think he's in his 80s now.
Yeah.
And he's been, paralyzed a few times, when he just shuts down. And I forget exactly what that is. And now he's in the hospital for a week, and so he can't work, and so the work of the Senate shuts down. It is, if there is ever a case, Joan, on our side, where if we're screaming, why in the world are the Democrats allowing Dianne Feinstein to stay in the Senate? Well, Mitch McConnell is our Dianne Feinstein.
Yes, he
and so if you're
is.
a conservative, if you're a Republican, and you're not saying that Mitch McConnell should not be in the Senate and certainly not part of leadership, then you're hypocritical.
Also, Senator Dianne Feinstein was good to her party.
Yeah, she was.
Which we don't have.
No, not with Mitch. Yeah, what loyalty has Mitch McConnell cultivated in the Senate? I mean, for the Republican Party. In my opinion, none.
None that I can think of.
Here's more from Anna Paulina Luna.
The one thing I'm finding out about Senate is they're notoriously lazy, which is why they move so slow. And so, I mean, eventually they'll probably run out of life force in an effort to do that. But, you know, again, voter ID is one of the most important issues in the world. So even if, you know, you give them a platform, I don't care. I want it signed into law. And I think that if that's the way that you have to do it, then so be it.
I kind of like that Anna Paulina Luna is talking smack about the Senate. Have you seen that before, Joan?
I had not.
Yeah, where I mean, I'm sure it's happened where the House of Representatives, they've called out the Senate because I think that the House, I think Brian Wilson, well, you know what? I'll ask Brian Wilson tomorrow because he's spoken often about how the House of Representatives, you know, you got a lot of them there in the House of Representatives, and it's a lot crazier, and it got a lot more nut jobs in the House. I mean, look at the crazies on their side, right? You've got Ilhan Omar. You've got Pramila Jayapal. You've got Rashida Tlaib. I mean, AOC.
Got Tim McBride.
Tim McBride, yeah. You've got, yes, Tim McBride. You've got AOC, who has now become a national embarrassment over at the Munich Security Conference. You know, all of that. And so that's what the Democrat, we don't have any embarrassments. I mean, it says the conservative, right? But you know what? I mean, we call them like we see them. Do we have any embarrassments on our
George
side?
Santos.
Yeah, but he's gone.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any others. I mean, some people would say Andy Ogles, but I mean, he kisses Trump's ass. But I mean, whatever. But I mean, we don't have the equivalent of a Ilhan Omar. We don't have the equivalent of a Rashida Tlaib, right? I mean, and super texters help me out. If we do, and I've missed it, but I can't think of one.
We don't, but we don't have a lot of guys, a lot of people with spine that will do they talk a good game.
Right.
We hear them saying all the words that we want and being mad as heck, and they're not going to take it anymore, but they don't do anything. That's what we have on our side.
Yeah. You're right. Well, I mean, look at how many, and I don't have time to get into all of this, but look at how many of Donald Trump's executive orders have been made into law in Congress. I want to say good morning to State Senator Mark Pody, and always great to have you on, sir. And a lot of people trying to figure out, okay, so is there an ICE facility really coming to Lebanon, Tennessee? And there's a lot of confusion over this, and so let's just, find out the very latest. I know that you have some media outlets, Senator, talking about how they have confused Lebanon, Tennessee, Wired, the media outlet, confused Lebanon, Tennessee with Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and nobody seems to know what's happening. So can you shed some light?
Absolutely. And Dan, I appreciate you coming on. And this is an issue that's been going on the entire weekend. But it is a holiday weekend, so it's been hard to actually track down people in the federal government to be able to sit down and talk to us to answer some of these questions that need to be answered. But as soon as we found out about this, I did reach out. We have two congressmen that actually represent Lebanon, both Andy Ogles as well as John Rose. And I've talked to them. And when I was sitting and talking to John Rose and his staff this weekend, they were not aware of anything that this was coming in. I reached out to the governor's office here to try and get clarity at the state level, and they had no indication of what was going on. I've also talked to Mayor Randall Huddle, and he's the mayor of Wilson County, and I've talked to Sheriff Robert Bryant, and none of them, there was nobody that said that they've gotten any kind of confirmation about this. The only thing that we did confirm was ICE did buy something, and they are doing something in Lebanon County in Pennsylvania. And it's easy to get confused, but we will get the clarity today now that everything's getting back open in Washington.
Now, of course, under normal circumstances, I mean, do you have any idea how this process would go? Like, do they have some lead time, for example, and, their people talk to our people and so forth? How does this usually play out?
Well, yes, but this is a lot going to be on the federal level, so they don't need a lot of the things. However, they would need local approval for zoning, things like this, where it's going to be going into, and there'd have to be some infrastructure based on the size that we've heard it could be. There has to be the infrastructure to do it, whether you talk the water, the sewers, roads, whatever. So depending exactly where that facility is, and it's got to be zoned for the right thing as well. You can't just come in and put something where it's not zoned that way, and that would have to go through the Wilson County, and they just have not heard anything about this at all.
Now, here's what I don't understand is the Tennessee Hauler did an interview with Bob Freeman, who he's a Nashville representative, but he's also a real estate guy and a real estate developer. And he did this whole interview like his building, which is the building that they're talking about, is going to be leased out to ICE. And so it seems like he is under the impression that it is going to be used as some sort of an ICE facility. So none of this makes any sense.
Well, let me stop for just a second. When we're talking about the Tennessee Hauler, and I put zero stock in whatever they print or whatever they say. They have a habit of not finding the facts or avoiding them. So if they're just out making a story, they can do it. Now, whether Representative Freeman was caught off base and said this happened and he didn't know or what, I'm not sure about that. But I don't put any credibility into the Tennessee Hauler.
Well, and I would actually agree, but they were interviewing him, and he did seem like this was something that was going to happen. So I guess the next question is, all right, so when will you know so that you can let us know?
Sure. We've already made calls out, and of course, Washington's an hour ahead of us. So we've already made calls out to the departments to see what we can't get for clarity. John Rose's office has already been back in contact with me this morning, saying that they're actually working on this again this morning for us to get this clarity as quick as we can. I think it's important.
Oh, yeah.
But, Dan, I do want to shout out to the law enforcement. ICE has been getting a bad name when the only thing they're doing is actually what they're directed to do. They've been, they're directed to take criminals off the street, and that's what they're doing. And, I am not in any way against ICE. And some of the communities that have been doing some of the bad publicity, like in Minnesota and such, I'm not against our ICE agents. They're just trying to make our streets safer. They're just trying to get people that are here that are criminals off of our streets, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, I mean, trust me when I say, sir, we are pro-ICE on this show, and very much appreciated. Okay, so State Senator Mark Pody, here's the deal. I need you to find out before I'm off the air at 9.
Okay.
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. But if you could, that'd be helpful.
All right.
I want the scoop.
You got one more 30 seconds.
Yes.
All right. So it's interesting that, in Davidson County, of course, we got the huge infrastructure transportation issues. And I've noticed that the choice lanes and how they're talking about taking people's properties and so forth compared to the boring company, that's going to be also solving the problems. I'm going to tell you, I'm just a fan of what's happening with the boring company and how fast that's going to be to change ours compared to the traditional transportation systems that we've had. And it was just a great contrast when I seen those come out in the news this weekend.
Well, when people have been talking about this, of course, you obviously know about NES and the power problems and all that train wreckery that does continue. I mean, I would love to see us partner with the boring company and start burying some of these lines.
Now, that would be interesting, and I don't know if boring company would be the right ones to do it because there's a lot of companies that can do the boring underneath roads for these lines, but burying them would be a much, much better option. And I think that we've really got to unpack what happened with NES, and there's got to be some changes made one way or the other, no matter what it was, either poor planning, lack of preparedness, whatever you might want to call it. If this was a storm, and we know these storms are coming, we're going to get another storm. If they've not been prepared for this, what happens if there was a power plant that was taken out by a terrorist? I mean, you would have anticipated that they should have had, as a public utility, prepared for a lot of these contingencies well in ahead of waiting to this happen. And there's just been a lot of questions down here at the General Assembly about what our role should be when you have a failure like this.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I'll look forward to hopefully hearing from you later on this morning. If not, we know that you'll let WTN know one way or another, and appreciate you being on with us, State Senator Mark Pody.
Thanks, Dan.
Let's see. I got a big announcement, Joan.
What is it?
I'm not going to tell you yet.
What?
Big announcement time, Joan.
Okay, come on. I hate when you make us wait.
Am I supposed to wait till this thing is done? Is that how it works?
It'd be 45 seconds. I don't know.
I'm not going to do
45 seconds.
All right. we've all been talking about the whole Barrett Media thing.
Yeah.
All right. WTN is number 4.
Oh.
In the list of mid-market news talk radio stations of 2025, the best and the brightest, well, not the brightest on the morning show, but whatever. We're number 4.
Wow.
But that's good.
That's really
who's
really
number
good.
1?
Who?
700 WLW. And then
Powerhouse station.
WWL in New Orleans. WIBC is number 3 out of Indianapolis. Good old WTN is number 4. But here's what I love about this, though, Joan. I'm so petty. We're the highest cumulus station.
Oh, see that?
That's to me, not that I'm petty.
They can't ignore us now.
Oh, contraire.
Yeah, I agree.
Joan. Somebody's been spiking Joan's Wally coffee this morning. Anyway, so that's very cool. Number 4.
Yeah, it is cool.
Very good.
I love it.
That's the first time we've been on the...
Did.
Go ahead and play that again.
Damn straight we did.
There you go. Damn straight we did. All right. Very good. Instead of number 4, I want to say we're number 1 in cumulus.
Yeah. I think you can go for that. I think you can make that work.
All right. Very good. 748 Nashville. So we still don't know.
No.
I thought State Senator Mark Pody would have a little bit more, but he didn't. And I think he's got to, try and... The truth is out there somewhere in somebody's desk in Washington, D.C.
Can I just say he sounds like a very reasonable person?
Mark Pody?
Yeah.
I got a great story about Mark Pody.
Yeah.
You ready? Okay. It was 5-6 years ago. Now, I believe that I've met Mark Pody in person because a lot of these people that I interview, I never see them. I just don't.
Yeah.
And but I interview them all the time on the radio. So about 5 years ago or so, Mark Pody was in a parade. I think it was like a Thanksgiving parade or something in Mount Juliet or a Christmas parade.
Okay.
So I'm just, with my family on the side, watching this parade in Mount Juliet. And Mark Pody, starts, he's on one of the floats and he's, waving to everybody. And he yelled, "Hey, Dan." He recognized me. And I was shocked because I have probably met Mark Pody, I think, twice in the 12, 13 years that I've been here, 12 years that I've been here. I probably met him in person, I don't know, maybe a couple of times. I was shocked that he recognized me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that shows you the kind of person that he is. Because he recognized me and, and he takes the time to, get to know his constituents, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
There you go. I thought that story would land better, but apparently, at this rate, Joan, we're going to be
fascinating, Dan.
At this point, Joan, we're going to be number 20 next year on the Barrett list of media radio stations.
Fascinating story.
Speaking of fascinating, let's see here. Do you want to hear some of Marco Rubio's speech? We're talking about this. How much time do I have here, Sam?
Couple minutes.
Couple minutes? All right, here's what I'm going to do. At 8:06, I'm going to play excerpts of Marco Rubio's speech that he gave to this Munich security conference because he really did sound presidential. Now, I'm a big fan of J.D. Vance, but people, Marco Rubio for president, I get it. Every time one of these guys makes a good speech, you start hearing this person for president, that person for president, and so forth. This was a very presidential speech, although I'm still a big J.D. Vance fan. But I will be playing some selected excerpts from this speech where, believe it or not, Marco Rubio got a standing ovation from the room. And it was what I would say, it was an olive branch to the fellow Europeanites out there, this audience of European politicians. And they gave him a standing ovation because it was more of an olive branch to Europe as opposed to a hammer upside the head, which is what J.D. Vance gave them last year. Sam randomly playing the Beach Boys, and I have no idea why. Hey, Joan.
Yes.
So Donald Trump has commented on the death of Jesse Jackson.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So I'm going to read this. The Reverend Jesse Jackson is dead at 84. He says, "I knew him well long before becoming president. He was a good man with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts. He says Jesse Jackson was very gregarious, someone who truly loved people. Despite the fact that I am falsely and consistently called a racist by these scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left, Democrats all, it was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. I provided office space for him and his Rainbow Coalition for years in the Trump building at 40 Wall Street, responded to his request for help in getting criminal justice reform passed and signed when no other president would even try. Single-handedly pushed and passed long-term funding for the historically black colleges and universities, which Jesse loved, but also which other presidents would not do. Responded to Jesse's support for Opportunity Zones, the single most successful economic development package yet approved for black businessmen and women, and much more. Jesse, President Trump says, was a force of nature like few others before him. He had much to do with the election without acknowledgement or credit of Barack Hussein Obama, a man who Jesse could not stand. He loved his family greatly, and to them I send my deepest sympathies and condolences. Jesse will be missed. President Donald J. Trump. What was it that Jesse Jackson said about Barack Obama?
Oh, he didn't like him.
He didn't like him because he said that Obama talked down to the black community.
To the black community.
That's what Jesse Jackson said. What? Can you Google that up real quick? Or
yeah, I'm doing that now.
You know what? I mean, I guess good on Trump. I was not a big fan of Jesse Jackson, to be perfectly candid. I don't want to start bashing on people when they're dead, so I want the day that they die. But I mean, I could go down the road of Jesse Jackson shaking down businesses, Rainbow Coalition. But I don't want to do that, so I don't want to do that today. But what did he say about Obama?
Do you have that, Sam?
I do.
Yeah, go.
See, Barack's been talking down to black people. I want to cut his nuts off.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh.
Yep, glad we went down that road.
That was an open mic incident,
that was an
right?
open mic moment.
Yeah.
Who was he talking?
He was expressing frustration that Obama was overly critical of the black community on issues like personal responsibility while not emphasizing systemic problems like unemployment, mortgage crisis, and incarceration rates enough.
All right. Well, anyway.
It aired on the O'Reilly Factor.
Was that on the O'Reilly Factor?
Yeah.
Was Bill O'Reilly the host?
Apparently so.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Of all the days, I'd love to get Bill O'Reilly on the phone. Right?